Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, TGIF-worthy podcast. Today is Friday, the 26th of February, 2021. How are you today, my friend?
I'm good. I can't believe it is 2021. It's still like mind-blowing to me that is the date, but it is.
So yesterday, where was I? I went to the dentist and I was writing my consent form because it was Brennan's first dental appointment, which was like an utter failure because she refused to open her mouth. But I was signing a consent form and I wrote February 26th, 2017. I just looked at it and I was like, that's not even close, right? Like I just took 4 years off of our lives. So yeah, it's a time warp. And I think you probably are in kind of a time warp too, because you're currently working on an Optimist View about a book that was projecting ahead to 2020.
Well, time is very slippery these days, as we've been talking about for the last year, but yeah, so
I was looking at, time hop and pictures, and usually during Lent, I honor just the tradition of Lent in my spiritual practice by way of expressing gratitude on a daily basis for something. And for a while, I would post something that I was grateful for every day of Lent, on social media. This year, I'm kind of keeping more low profile, not quite so much on social, but my gratitude last year was that I was grateful that I could work in my pajamas. I had no idea how grateful I was going to be for the next year working in our pajamas. The world is different. Things are different.
Be careful what you ask for, Summers.
Exactly. I know. I really have this this dangerous law of attraction capacity. This weekend, Kristy, you said you're going to have a sleepover with your 3-year-old friend and you're going to chill at the zoo house.
Yeah, yes. So that's going to be fun.
Good. I think we're going to get some beach time because Brennan and I have this bonus weekend where we're not actually driving to Austin, Texas. As many of you know, we were technically supposed to be leaving for Texas tomorrow, and we are not. We will not be leaving until kind of the end of March. So I have these bonus weekends, and I decided that I'm going to just enjoy what I can in the outdoors of California in the interim. But speaking of outdoors and delicious things to enjoy, let's talk about Spain, my dear.
Yes. So the headline from today's Optimist Daily that I wanted to spotlight, which is funny because I'm actually enjoying a little blood orange development right now as I'm saying this, but I should not have popped this in my mouth before we started recording, but I did.
While you're enjoying the deliciousness of blood orange.
Yes. But the headline reads, it's about how Sevilla is turning its leftover oranges into electricity. And I love this story because of the images, but also the idea of Sevilla and Spain and travel, which I long for. But this article is about the city of Sevilla, which is now looking into using the waste from the orange trees. It has 48,000 orange trees around the city. And this is part of its charm and part of its signature. But those orange trees deposit some 5.7 million kilos of fruit every year. And some of them are used to make local liqueur, but a lot of them just end up in the dumps. And what do you do with all of those dropped oranges? What do you do with them?
Aside from like fermenting the
sidewalks
and attracting flies and
right. They kind of are a headache for the city's cleaning department, the street cleaning department there. But there's a new scheme that they're working on producing electricity from the leftover oranges by capturing the methane from the fermented fruits and using it to drive a generator. And I just think this is a brilliant, fun use of the oranges. And they're going to be picking up the wasted fruit, and they're going to collect the oranges, bringing them into an existing facility that already generates power from organic matter. And through this, the city is hoping to generate enough clean energy to power its water purification plants. They figured out that about 100 kilograms of fruit can produce about 50 kilowatt hours, which is enough to provide electricity for 5 houses for a day.
That's a lot of electricity. I mean, it's 1,000 kilograms of fruit, but that's a fair amount of electricity from just waste.
Yeah, but if you have 5.7 million kilos of fruit, you can do a lot of electricity. So the initial plan is to use the energy to run the water purification plants, but eventually a city would like to feed this orange-produced electrical juice into the grid.
So I love the idea of just kind of creative energy solutions. And I love that, there was somebody who was looking at the ground and looking at all the waste going, I think we can do something with these oranges. And I likewise love the idea of Spain. And I spent time in high school in Spain, and it is just a magical place to travel. This story takes us around the world a bit.
Yeah, and this solution reminded me, I think there was a couple, they were biologists, and they took all of, like, Sunkist orange juice factory, they took their waste and they put it in basically a deforested part of the jungle.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, it was so lush just from the orange waste. Adding that organic matter to a deforested wasteland was
was actually compost pile.
Yes. So
reforested this desolate area after excessive forestation or deforestation. Yeah.
I have to find that one. But I just think I like the idea of turning trash into treasure. And so it's just like making juice out of oranges.
So now I just want mimosas, but that's probably not great to have on a Friday morning before a busy work day. But in my mind, I will be traveling to Spain and sitting outside and having a mimosa on Las Ramblas. But instead of actually traveling, my story will beam you around the world.
Talking about power, right?
Exactly. Power and remote areas and adventures all around the world. So this headline reads, scientists develop space solar panel that could power remote areas on Earth. The scientists at the U.S. Department of Defense have successfully tested a solar panel that is capable of beaming electricity to any point on Earth from space. Obviously, delivering power anywhere on Earth from space seems like a pretty amazing thing. There's some concern on it, I think, if we're beaming power from space. But really, if you look at the practicality of it, this particular solar panel concept is about the size of a pizza box. And it was designed by researchers at the Pentagon as a prototype for a future system to send electricity from space to any point on Earth, including disaster areas and remote places without connection to a grid. I know a certain state that might have appreciated that this last couple weeks. But one of the advantages of placing this solar panel in space is that it harnesses a more powerful light, including the blue waves diffused by Earth's atmosphere, which, by the way, that is actually why the sky is blue, is because of the blue waves diffused by our atmosphere. We're getting extra sunlight in space just because of that, said Paul Jaffe, a co-developer of the project. Now, unlike the huge amount of power that comes from 1,000 kilograms of oranges, there's only 10 watts of energy per transmission, which is enough to power basically a tablet computer. And while it doesn't seem like a lot, that's just because it's a 12 by 12 inch panel pizza box. So if you did an aggregate of multiple panels, dozens of panels, it could certainly revolutionize how power is generated and distributed remotely around the globe. And then the line at the end of it that took me on a trip around the world is, you can send power to Chicago, and a fraction of a second later, if you need it, send it to London or Brazil. So that story took me around the world, and I love the idea of coming up with lots of different ways to source power and energy for our changing world. We had kind of a spacey day on the Optimist Daily too, right, Kristy? What else were some of the headlines?
Well, there's also an article about how NASA is aiming to introduce electric systems to commercial airplanes by 2035. And so it's more reason for NASA. They don't just think about space, they're also thinking about commercial air travel. There's some stunning videos from the Perseverance rover, which landed on Mars.
Have you had a chance to watch that?
I have, and I really appreciated that. Absolutely.
Remember when the first rover landed, and maybe it wasn't the first, but it was the first time it was like widely televised on social media, and you could stream it on YouTube and Facebook.
The 7 minutes of terror.
Yes, exactly. It was just, I mean, it was the best TV you could imagine. And, you know, I love it. The whole Perseverance rover landing has really been just a bright light in, you know, kind of an intense time in news media. And I think they're really delightful to watch.
There's also a new amputation technique, which is giving amputees more control over their prostheses. There's an article about how just 2.5 hours of weekly exercise can help reduce migraine triggers. There's a new solution for antibiotic-resistant bacteria. There are scientists at Yale using patients' own stem cells to repair injured spinal cords. The shipping company Maersk's first carbon-neutral ship is planning to set sail 7 years ahead of schedule. That should be a sea by 2023, and that's a huge step there.
And that 2023 is 2 years away.
It's right around the corner, exactly. And that's 7 years ahead of schedule. So if they can decarbonize the global shipping industry or work on starting that, then that's tremendous advance in decarbonizing our transportation sectors.
There is one more great story. It's the final story in the emissary feed of the Optimist Daily today. It's the first class of female Eagle Scouts has earned their badges. And that's just a great story for the evolution of an organization that recognized a need to change and have become more inclusive and expansive. So it's a pretty optimistic day on the Optimist Daily. We know we've got 5 great stories tomorrow for anyone who logs on or follows us on social, and a busy weekend with an elevating optimist view written by Ms. Kristy Jansen herself, if she can get out of her writer's block and deliver as she always does with brilliant language. I look forward to that. And I look forward to seeing everybody on Monday. Kristy, you're going to take a little bit of time off on the podcast next week. Kristy and I had intended that we would both be off at the same time because I was traveling and she was traveling, and then polar vortexes and whatnot. So I am going to take the lead on the podcast next week. I think, Kristy, you'll join us on Monday and then take a few days off. So looking forward to the week ahead with everyone, and thank you for the week that has gone by. It's been a pleasure to record the Optimist Daily Update with all of you. We promise to continue to share positive, solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to cover the current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us. And as it is the end of the month, I'm going to push hard here. Please, please, please become an emissary and help me make my numbers. But also support reader-funded independent journalism.
Be part of solution-changing consciousness that addresses our world's biggest challenges with that problem-solving mindset. Please help us keep the Optimist Daily free for everyone who needs it, supported by those of us who can. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back on Monday.
Thanks, guys.